Just all the big companies. It's time to leave. I hate all of this, and I sincerely hope this backfires and causes all of these companies to go up. I wish Adobe would disappear. Don't care. Etsy shouldn't exist anymore. Last week, I posted a video about platforms turning on its creators. The comments came in two camps. Camp 1 was furious, as you've just seen. Everyone watching their platform die in slow motion, deciding right now whether to walk away. Camp 2 was a bit different. You need to own your platform, email list, etc. But how will people find my website until I get that email list? You gotta have people before you get people. How do you pivot towards direct customer relationships when you're invisible to those potential customers? Now that is the question of the year. How would that even work? So let me be clear about what this video is, because I don't want anyone watching this confused about which side I'm on. Long term, we are leaving. This is an exodus. The goal of all this is freedom from these platforms. Owning your audience, owning your customers, your products, your brand. So if a platform changes its policies tomorrow and decides it doesn't need you anymore, which they already are, your business doesn't fall over. That's the final destination. What I'm pushing back on is the timing of how you get there. There's a version of leaving that's a jailbreak, kicking the door down, walking out broke with nothing of your own. That version costs you everything you spent the last few years building. And there's a version that's an escape plan, built on the side, while the platform is still paying you, while you've still got buyers landing in your DMs every week. You take what the platform already gives you, the traffic, the payments, the reputation system, and you spend it building the thing that replaces them. Use their own game against them. Look, I'm not here to defend Fiverr or Etsy or Adobe or Canva or any of them. I'm here to defend your income while you build the thing that doesn't need to take a cut of it. That's exactly what the next 15 minutes is. How I did it, 6 years, 4 moves, and the bits I got wrong. And before I get into any of that, one number that'll make you stop before you do anything. In 2024, the year my Fiverr business started collapsing on me, but my whole business hits its all-time peak, £213,000. Bigger than my best year on Fiverr, bigger than anything I'd ever done before. The platform was going down, but the business hit its peak. That shouldn't have been possible, but the results disagree. And the reason it happened is the reason most people watching this are about to make the most expensive mistake of their year. Okay, so Camp 1 first. Walking off the platform right now is probably the wrong move. Possibly the most expensive one you can make. The reason is simple. The platform paying you is currently funding your migration. The Fiverr, Etsy, Udemy orders coming in this month are the budget for the email list, the website, the products, the brand, all the stuff a platform can't take away from you. The day you quit your platform out of righteous fury is the day that you lose the runway you're going to need. Everyone watching this who tells me, easy for you to say, buddy, you made $1 million on Fiverr. Yes, exactly. That's why I have any authority on the timing question. The mistake I almost made was assuming the platform would last forever. But the thing I got right, more by accident rather than by design, was building direct billing from year one. So back in 2020, I had one client who'd ordered the same thing on Fiverr every month for about 6 months. And one day I just thought, why is Fiverr taking 20% of this? He knows me. I know him. We don't need a middleman for this anymore. So I just sent them an invoice for £408. That client is still with me 6 years later. And some of you are probably thinking, why stay on a sinking ship? And look, I get the romance of it. Telling Fiverr to get stuffed feels brilliant for about 45 seconds. And then you watch your mortgage hit.
In terms of money, we have no money.
Buyers are still on the platform. They're just leaving it in slow motion. Walking away too early, and you lose access to them while you've got nothing of your own to offer. And before someone asks, yes, AI is squeezing this market, and I'm not selling permanent immunity, but what I am saying, and this is so important, is being the named human with an audience that already knows you is the most defensible position available. And it's much bigger if you've already built it than if you start from zero in 2 years from now. Treat the platform decline as your deadline. Build into it. Now, a quick note before I keep going. I've actually put the whole playbook in writing. Every single move, every mistake I've made, and a 30-day version of what to do first. It's free, and it's at joshfaulks.co.uk. There's a link below. Drop your email there if you want it now, and I'll send the rest of the answer to your inbox while you finish watching this video. Okay, so back to it. I told you last week that platforms are turning on creators. And since I posted that video, things have, how do I put this, escalated. On April 29th, Fiverr posted Q1 2026 earnings. Marketplace revenue down 13.6% year on year. Active buyers still bleeding. On the same day, the share price went up 16.8%. Now just think about that for a second. The part of the company that pays freelancers shrank by double digits, and the market cheered. Wall Street rewarded Fiverr for shrinking the freelancer base because the company is pivoting to AI services, and that's apparently the better business now. So when CEO Mika Kaufman tells the earnings call that humans are becoming more essential, not less, the filings get audited, not the call. And the filings say the market thinks Fiverr is more valuable with fewer of you on it. Brilliant. Same day, Etsy, Q1 2026 earnings. The take rate up 180 basis points to 25.7%. Active sellers actually grew for the first time since they put in the listing fee. The reason was simple. Etsy is growing by squeezing harder on the sellers already there. The growth is coming from extracting more from the existing base. Then on May 5th, Etsy rolled out an AI buyer agent inside ChatGPT for selected sellers only. Buyers can now ask ChatGPT to find the perfect handmade gift, and ChatGPT will go shopping on Etsy on their behalf, which is absolutely brilliant. If you're one of those sellers who are selected. And if you're not, well, you're now competing with a robot for the attention of a customer, who is also a robot. Shutterstock filed Q1 the day before, revenue down 17.9%, data licensing down 47%, the cash they made selling contributors' photos to AI companies is over. The models are trained. So Shutterstock's contributors now get to compete with the AI their photos built. So that's just the last 2 weeks. Anyway, let's take a look at what the chart of my actual business shows you about what to do about all of that. And here it is. 6 years of combined revenue across Fiverr and direct billing. 2019, about 8,000 quid, all Fiverr, mostly part-time income. 2020, £26,500. At this point, this was the highest I'd ever been paid in a year. Faulks Digital incorporated in May. £6,000 of that is the first direct revenue. 2021, £73,000. Absolutely mind-blowing at the time. It still is. I make my first website for my business. I start a LinkedIn, sort of. I'll come back to LinkedIn because that's one of the things I actually got wrong. Now, 2022, £147,000. 2023, £195,000. Peak Fiverr year, $197,000 in platform earnings. Watch what happens at 2024. 2024 is the year Fiverr starts declining. Earnings drop. Order volume drops. The voiceover side completely vanishes. The chart doesn't go down though. It actually goes up. £213,000 across the whole business in 2024. The biggest year I've ever had. Direct revenue jumped from £37,000 the year before to nearly £72,000. It almost doubled. The reason it doubled was because the work I'd been building off platform on the side for 4 years suddenly grew faster than Fiverr fell. That's the year the migration actually happened. Now, last year, £182,000 combined, but the direct kept growing and Fiverr shrank. And then this year, January through April, so we're in 4 months, I got about £31,500 from my direct billing, but £29,000 from Fiverr. For the first time in 7 years on this platform, my direct billing overtook Fiverr. If anyone watching wants to argue the migration is just theoretical, well, this is the chart. The migration is finished. The platform is still paying me, but the direct business is bigger. None of this required me to quit anything. It required building the alternative while the platform was still paying me, which, by the way, is exactly why I'm telling you, don't quit yours yet. Okay, this all sounds really nice, but what did I actually do? I'll show you the 4 things that I did and what each one looked like in real life, including the parts that didn't work. So the first move was an owned audience. For me, in 2021, that meant putting up a website that wasn't a Fiverr profile and starting to lightly post on LinkedIn. Now, the website wasn't fancy. If anything, it was actually quite ugly. The LinkedIn was barely posting. But it existed, and 6 months in, 2 clients found me through it that I would never have gotten from Fiverr. Bigger budgets, longer relationships, no platform in between us, no 20% cut. The website is one of those things where the worth it lag is about a year, and most people quit at around month 2. This YouTube channel that you're watching right now is part of that audience move as well. Now, it's never generated any meaningful revenue, if any, until very recently. Now, look, I know YouTube's a platform too, and the algorithm decides who sees these videos. I know that. But the subscribers, the comments, the email signups from the description, those all stay with me when the algorithm changes its mind about me. Owned audience just means a place where you can talk to your buyers without a platform between you. Pick the one that you'll actually post on. A quick side note as well, I actually dabbled on Instagram. It never really took off, but at the same time, it never needed to. Even with under 700 followers, it was enough to scrape up a few clients over the years. It was just another Josh Faulks flag planted in the ground somewhere. Right, moving on. The customer side of things. So as I said earlier, I had that client who was ordering from me every month. I sent them my first direct invoice for about 408 quid in May 2020. Now, this client was running a YouTube channel, a pretty successful one as well, and the founder had been ordering scripts on my Fiverr. Now, we swapped to Stripe, and I never looked back. A couple of years in, that same client went through some pretty turbulent changes, and everything was on the ropes. Yet, none of that actually affected our relationship at all, because the relationship was to the founder and not to the company. 6 years on, that one client is still my biggest single client. Try doing that on Fiverr. Okay, now moving on again. Let's talk about the owned product. I'm careful with this one because everyone watching this has heard a guru tell them to build a product, while also selling them a course about how to build the product, which is in itself their product.
Then sign up for the Baller Lifestyle System.
So let me try and be really specific with you. The teleprompter app that I'm reading this script off right now is called SteadyQ. My good friend Andy and I are building it because we believe the human face is the asset, and the tool we use to keep doing on-camera work shouldn't depend on someone else's platform. That's an owned product, and that's why we're making one ourselves. More on that in a future video. Okay, finally, the brand. Pretty simple to describe, but it's really hard to do in practice. Your brand is what's still recognizable when the platform you built it on disappears. For me, that's this channel. The face, the voice, the accent, apparently. There's been some commentary about the accent. Your brand is portable, your gigs are not. If your business is top-rated Fiverr seller of voiceover services, that title disappeared with one Fiverr policy change. But Josh, the voice and the face on those videos, Fiverr could shut down tomorrow, and that brand survives, just somewhere else. The brand outlasts the platform. Audience, customer, product, brand, none of which I invented, by the way, all 4 of which I did slowly, badly, and over 6 years. Which brings me to the embarrassing stuff. If I'm asking you to trust this playbook, you'd have to trust me first, which means I better be straight with you about the things that I actually cocked up. The biggest one, frankly, is an absolute shit show. 64.6% of all direct revenue I have ever made came from a single client. The biggest single client I just mentioned, £179,000 across 6 years out of £278,000 total. That is, technically speaking, the worst possible strategic position. If that one client ends the relationship for any reason, the founder leaves, the channel gets acquired, anything, my direct revenue drops by 2/3 overnight. I really wouldn't recommend that structure to anyone. I built it by accident, by saying yes too eagerly to the same client for 6 years and not pursuing the next one with the same energy. I've been working to de-risk it for 3 years, and it's finally showing on the books. But if you're starting from scratch right now, don't copy this part. Pursue your second big client from the moment you have your first. The second one, I should have started posting on LinkedIn in 2019, but I started in 2023. 4 years lost. I can't tell you exactly how much, but I'd guess somewhere between 50 and 100k in compounding lead flow. I'll start posting next month is by some margin the most expensive sentence in the English language for a freelancer trying to build a direct business. Now, for the email list, it's the same story, but it gets worse. I have never even had one until about 9 days ago. 6 years of building a business, and I treated the one audience no one can take away from me as just a tiny little footnote
On my epic ass.
So as I said, it's about 9 days old as I record this, and I've just reached about 110 subscribers, which I am so happy about. It's tiny in the grand scheme of things, but already growing faster than anything else I run. Don't do what I did. Start the list on day one. Right, now let's have a look at the Fiverr ads thing. January 2021 was my first month running Fiverr ads. I actually posted a video about it on this channel. I spent $16 and earned $550 back. 33 times return on the spend. Now, let's have a look at last month. I spent $477 and earned back $380. A net loss for the first time ever. The outcome had completely flipped. And the embarrassing part for me, honestly, is that I noticed the ROI was getting worse for about a year before I even changed anything. Just kept feeding the dashboard like the data wasn't telling me something. Don't do that. None of those 4 things were fatal. All of them were slower than they needed to be. So whilst we're being honest, let me tell you what I'm doing on Fiverr right now, because stay on the platform doesn't mean operating the same way you did 3 years ago. I just put my prices up. The starting point used to be $150. Now it's $200. And the pricing scale beneath that has actually doubled. I've also completely stopped paying for anything on Fiverr. No more $49 a month for Seller Plus. No more gambling money on Fiverr ads. Now, I'm aware I have the unfair advantage of 7 years of buyers who already know how to find me. They just gotta click on their inbox. Anyone watching this who's just starting out won't have that benefit. I'm totally aware of that. But everything I did there kinda backfired in a weird way. The whole point of putting the prices up was to slow the work down. I'm trying to free up as much time as possible to build the other parts of the business. Less Fiverr, more everything else. But demand went up instead. Not down, it went up, which lines up, weirdly, with where Fiverr itself is trying to go. They want serious professional work, not the low-value stuff AI is currently eating. I've moved into the bracket the platform wants to promote, and I'm getting promoted as a result. The good news is the per-hour rate climbed too, so even though I've got more work than I planned for, I'm earning meaningfully more for every hour I spend on it. So I'll keep raising prices until the volume problem fixes itself. From hours of work for 100 quid to 15 minutes of work for 1,000. Until I'm working with a handful of buyers who value the work enough that the income gets dead simple. That's what staying on the platform looks like in practice. Active repositioning on terms that work for me, while I build the things that don't need Fiverr at all. Now, I don't want to leave you with just theory and no playbook. Hold on. Oh, I've just had a cold, sorry. Ugh, okay, that's better. Right, I've spent the last few weeks writing everything down, and it's called the Off-Platform Playbook, and it's free. All I ask for is your email address, and now you know why I want your email address. I absolutely promise that I am not going to sell it, abuse it, spam you. You absolutely have my word. Go to joshfaulks.co.uk. The link is in that description. It covers the 4 moves in detail with worked examples from people who actually aren't me. We're talking photographers, Etsy sellers, course creators, designers, illustrators, running the same playbook in different niches so you can see how it actually works in your own. There's a 30-day starter for each move, so you can pick one and start tomorrow without giving up your platform income. Now, I was really careful to not turn the playbook into a sales pitch. My honest aim was to try and give you something really useful, something that you can go off and action yourself without paying me or anybody else in the world a single penny. But If you do want help walking the road with the reps and some accountability, I run a coaching community called Future Creator. Again, I'm not forcing you to buy this. You absolutely do not. You don't actually need it. It's there for those of you who want to hear and learn more from me directly. I mention it at the end of the playbook. Email me directly if that's for you. The book stands on its own either way. If any of this matched what you were already thinking, that's the next thing to read. The platform pays you while you build. The version of you 18 months from now is either thanking present to you for using the runway or wishing they had. You don't need years to get there. You just gotta start. I'll see you next time, people. I'm glad we're finally ending a video on a positive note. That's refreshing, isn't it? Right, off to editing. Ugh.